Let's go directly to the first slide. I don't use a summary because a summary is to help the author, not the audience. What you see here is the strategy from 1941 to 1999. It is a strategy with S&P 500 index daily data, and the long positions are entered if there is an update which is equivalent to a positive return or the price being above the 2-day moving average, and the short positions when these conditions are reversed. So you see here, this simple strategy had an annualized return of 27.6% and a Sharpe ratio of about 2.5 in a period of 60 years. Now, many of you or some of you have never seen this. This is not taught in business schools or economics departments. The reason is that this refutes the efficient market hypothesis. How can a simple strategy outperform buy and hold with such a wide margin? Of course, there is a caveat here. This is not a practical strategy, but a way of identifying the regime shifts. In the period from 41 to 1999, the buy and hold annualized return was about 9% versus 27.7% for the strategy. But before 1993 and the SPY ETF, it was impossible for retail to trade this strategy. And for professionals and funds, they had to use a tracking portfolio. And that was a big business in the 90s for the younger of you to know. There were companies that developed small tracking portfolios for the S&P 500 from about 10 to 30 securities. And the reason was to reduce transaction cost. But you will see that the long only worked until the late 90s because the long-short strategy became somewhat erratic after the slow regime shift for moving averages. Here is a table from a paper I have written, Limitations of Quantitative Claims about Trading Strategy Evaluation. All moving averages with a period from 2 to 20 outperformed the buy and hold for the long only part of the strategy if price is greater than the moving average, and sell if price is lower than the moving average. And there were large T statistics, meaning that this appeared to be a very, very significant strategy. For instance, you could use an 11-day moving average and reduce transaction cost by an order of magnitude and end up with a T statistic of 8.5. Let's see what's the problem here. This is what happened after 2000. Someone in the 90s back-tested a simple strategy that worked for 50 or 55 years and thought they would be rich in the next 20 years. Instead, they got very poor. This strategy after 2000 lost nearly 100%. And I'm talking the long-short strategy. And the same happened to all the moving averages versions. Why? This is interesting. Let's see why. A regime shift started developing in US stock market in the mid-80s and was completed by the late 90s. The shift goes from momentum to mean reversion in daily returns. In the momentum regime, simple momentum strategies profited and simple mean reversion strategies were highly unprofitable. In the mean reversion regime that followed, momentum strategies were unprofitable, while mean reversion strategies were profitable. So this is what happened, a major regime change. And the cause of this regime change was reflexivity that resulted in a very crowded trade in the 90s in the US stock market. Everyone bought stocks to become rich. Does it sound familiar? Now let's look at a trivial mean reversion strategy. You go long if there are back-to-back losses and you exit if there are back-to-back gains. So two days up, you go long, 2 days down, you go long, and 2 days up, you exit. This was a highly unprofitable strategy until about 1990. But this is what happened afterwards. The strategy became highly profitable until the recent pandemic crash. The reason this happened is that in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, there was high one lag autocorrelation in daily S&P 500 returns. You can see this from this autocorrelation chart. You see that in the 40s, 50s, autocorrelation is high, then it becomes extreme in the 70s, and then it starts dropping again. And then by mid-90s, there is a regime change, and autocorrelation becomes negative. And from extreme momentum in the 70s, now due to the pandemic crash, there is extreme mean reversion. You see down here. What does positive autocorrelation mean? It means that up days are followed by up days with higher probability, and down days are followed by down days with higher probability. Negative autocorrelation means that up days are followed by down days with higher probability, and the other way around for down and up days. So basically, in the 70s, there was extreme momentum in the markets, and this fooled a lot of people, especially the technical analysts. So the market went from extreme momentum to extreme mean reversion. And the extreme momentum in the 70s fooled a lot of people, especially the technical analysts, that they thought a simple compression like chart patterns would be able to provide profits. And although it did for some time, then it stopped working by the late 90s. And the reason was the positive autocorrelation. And when the markets became mean reverting, only by the dip worked, as we will see. So how is it possible that a mean reverting market goes up? Before we get to that, I will introduce an indicator that I have developed. It's called the Momersion indicator. The Momersion indicator is from momentum and mean reversion. It's a very simple indicator. It measures the relative momentum and mean reversion of the market in daily returns. Higher Momersion or rising indicates higher or rising momentum, and lower or falling Momersion indicates higher rising mean reversion. The pseudo and AMI broker code are available in my site, and at the end I have the link, and I think Quantitative also have a Python code. Okay, so you see here in this chart, in the 50s and 60s and 70s up to the 80s, Momersion was very high. And then from 85 to about 2000, there was a regime change process. And then from 2000, the indicator shows that the market became mostly mean reverting. Okay, so I cannot share the AFL code in the screen. I think you have to go to the site. Okay, I saw a question about this. Okay, so how do markets rise when they are mean reverting? This is a puzzle. Okay, all right, this is how they rise. Before we see, let's look at the Indian market. Some people are interested. The Indian market has been in a momentum regime in the 90s and in 2003, but these regimes were followed by a fast decline to neutral territory. And then in 2009, the Indian market became slightly mean reverting. Again, by 2015, momentum rose, and then there was a fast decline and then a rise again. So you get now an idea of regime shifts and how difficult is the Indian market to trade because of these fast regime shifts from momentum to mean reversion. Let's look at gold. Gold futures back adjusted with the Panama method have been mostly mean reverting, although there are trends, up and down trends. Okay, and back to the chart I wanted to show. This is the reason mean reverting markets go up. The S&P 500 rises under mean reversion because more down days are followed by up days. Recently, the percentage of down days followed by up days in a 252-day rolling period, about a year, reached new all-time highs at about 69. You see here. This is caused by participants buying the dips. So market is mean reverting, people buy the dips and they make money and the market goes up. Everyone is happy.